A woman named Branda says that late one night, while she and her husband were sleeping, their home security camera caught this strange event at 2:45 in the morning. The family dog perks up as a bright light flashes, and what looks like a pale little face seems to peek out of the door. Then, a shadowy figure, about the size of a child, seems to be standing in the hallway before disappearing, just as the little pale face peeks out of the door again. Branda and her husband Sky have never posted or even experienced anything paranormal, and they say they have no idea what this could be. This next clip we're looking at today comes from a TikTok user named Keely. The footage was recorded inside her home in the middle of the night, most likely by a security or home surveillance camera. For the first few seconds, everything seems perfectly calm, but that doesn't last long. Pay close attention to the staircase. It's subtle, but if you look carefully, you can make out the shape of someone or something slowly creeping up Keely's staircase. It's the kind of moment you might miss at first glance, but once you see it, it's hard to unsee. The video was posted 3 years ago, and there haven't been any updates since. Whether Keely ever found out what was going on or simply decided to leave, we can only hope she's somewhere safer now. Personally, if I saw this on my camera, I'd be sleeping with the lights on or not sleeping there at all. In folklore, staircases are often seen as liminal spaces, thresholds between different realms or states of being. Many ghost stories involve figures silently ascending or descending stairs, as if retracing the steps of their former lives. One of the most famous examples is the Brown Lady of Rainham Hall, captured in a 1936 photograph gliding down a staircase in England. The ghostly figure's translucent form has become one of the most iconic paranormal images in history, cementing the idea of staircases as prime stages for supernatural encounters. Was it a trespasser, a trick of the shadows, or something more otherworldly climbing those steps? Either way, it's deeply unsettling. Late one night, a woman named Olivia glanced out her window, and what she saw made her blood run cold. The dark figure was standing outside. Terrified, she grabbed her phone and zoomed in, hoping to get a better look, but things only got creepier. On the side of her neighbor's porch stood a solid black figure, its body so dark it clearly stood out from the surrounding darkness. Not long after Olivia noticed it, her neighbor did too. He quickly stepped outside to take a closer look. But after catching a glimpse of this figure, he wanted no part of it and hurried back inside. Just as he shut the door, the shadowy figure suddenly looked like it began to sprint, its arms swinging wide as it launched forward before the footage abruptly cut off. The next morning, Olivia went outside hoping to find any sort of explanation.
Hey guys, my neighbors aren't home, but as you can see, there's no Halloween decoration. So, it wasn't that.
With no Halloween decorations in sight, she still has no idea how to explain the chilling figure that was standing outside. Whatever it was, it's something Olivia hopes she never sees again. This footage comes from a man who thought he'd found the perfect apartment, but quickly discovered he wasn't the only one living there. For weeks, his new home had been the source of constant horror, strange sounds echoing through the rooms at all hours. What started as minor disturbances had escalated into something far more sinister. The man had been documenting these incidents, hoping to capture proof of what was happening in his apartment. But on this particular night, while trying to record content for his social media, the activity reached a terrifying new level.
shock. Happening shock. Happening shock.
He approaches one of the rooms where the sounds seem to be coming from, but as he enters the dark space, a drawer suddenly slides open on its own. It startles him so badly that he immediately flees the apartment, too frightened to stay inside. After leaving his apartment in fear, he looks back up at his window, and a silhouette can be seen against the glass, as if claiming ownership of the space he just abandoned. Eventually, he forces himself to return to his apartment, having nowhere else to go. These clips serve as a chilling reminder that sometimes, when you move into a new place, you're not just getting a home, you might be getting an unwelcome roommate that has no plans to move out. And the fact that it watched him from the window after forcing him to flee shows a level of intelligence and malice that goes beyond simple haunting. For those brave enough to continue living in such circumstances, the question becomes, how long can you share your space with something that clearly doesn't want you there? A guy named Brendan has a YouTube channel where he camps in his van in some strange and sometimes very dangerous locations across the UK. In this video, Brendan decided to camp overnight in the coastal village of Jaywick in Essex, England. Now, amongst other things, Jaywick is known as one of Britain's poorest towns and has a very high crime rate. In other words, it's not really the best place to be camping overnight in a van, but that doesn't stop Brendan.
A little town in England called Jaywick, coined as one of the most deprived towns in the UK, and I thought as soon as I'm in the area, I just had to go and see it.
Brendan searches around and eventually finds a place to set up camp that is just outside of town and kind of in the middle of nowhere.
This'll do me. I'm alone, but I mean there's no other houses around me, so it's not as if I'm alone in a housing estate.
Brendan sets up his bed in the van and lies down for a night's sleep, but around 2:30 in the morning, things take a terrifying turn.
I think someone's outside the van. Right, whoever the that was has now gone. I'm gonna get out of here. Oh my god. Oh, fuck's sake.
Someone with a flashlight skulks around outside Brendan's van, trying the door handles before smashing the window to get inside. Hey! Luckily, Brendan yells and sends the intruder running. He then hops in the driver's seat and just gets out of there. Brendan makes it out safe, but obviously is very shaken up by the whole ordeal. He decides to not only leave the town of Jaywick, but to drive all night 3.5 hours all the way back to his home.
I just, quite frankly, just wanted to go home. I was really, I wasn't in a good mind space. After cleaning a little bit of broken glass from my driver's seat and the dashboard, you'd be surprised how far glass goes when it smashes. I've been finding little bits everywhere, but the van was in no fit state to continue camping in, and nor was my headspace, should we say. So I made the long journey back home. I think it was a good 3.5 hour drive back to my house in Shrewsbury. Got there just before sunrise. Not a pleasant drive, to say the least.
Despite this frightening encounter, Brendan still goes camping in his van and posts his adventures over on his YouTube channel, Brendan Explores. On September 3rd, 2024, a TikTok user known as Kubukoi posted a video to their account, which sees them lying in bed for the night and simply trying to relax. But, as you're about to see, they were unable to do so.
Hello?
Kubukoi lies in bed, and their adorable pet kitty is seen in the room as well. When, out of nowhere, a mysterious series of knocking noises can be heard coming from the other side of the bedroom door. The uploader is understandably confused by this and proceeds to get out of bed and investigate. He then opens up the door, and what he finds on the other side is shocking.
Hello?
The door directly across from him is slightly ajar before some unseen presence closes it. Kubukoi stands there in silence for a few seconds before eventually going back to his room. A second video was later posted by Kubukoi, in which he explains that he has been sleeping on the couch because he's just too scared to be inside of his bedroom, which is very valid. He then says that this night he kept hearing some voices coming from the room, so he decided to investigate. As he slowly creeps his way into the bedroom, this happens.
I'm hearing voices coming from there. Last like 20 minutes.
One of Kubukoi's shirts is seen hovering in midair before it suddenly drops to the floor. Is it possible that some sort of spirit was in his room, going through his clothes? And if so, why? Maybe this video proves that even ghosts are into fashion. A nurse named Nina says there's one room in her hospital that staff avoid whenever they can because it's rumored to be haunted. The call light for this room often goes off, yet every time someone checks, there's no one inside. And since the light can only be triggered by pressing a button, it raises one chilling question: who or what is pushing it? Curious, Nina decided to set up her phone to record, and while she was away, this is what it captured. The room was completely still with no one inside until, suddenly, the hospital bed began to move. The head of the bed started to rise on its own, inching higher and higher with no one around pressing the button. Nina was stunned when she watched the footage back, her skin covered in goosebumps. Later on, she returned to the room with a co-worker to investigate, and once again, the call light started going off all by itself. With the amount of people that pass away in hospitals, it's no surprise that some spirits linger inside, and it looks like this one is still trying to get comfortable in bed. This footage was captured by a group of construction workers in Indonesia during what should have been a peaceful rest period after hours of renovation work. The crew had been working on renovating a large building and had settled in for the night to get some sleep before continuing their project the next day. The structure they were working in was several stories high. Most of the workers had fallen asleep, exhausted from their labor, but one man remained awake. He had been hearing strange knocking sounds coming from one of the upper floor windows, persistent tapping that continued for what felt like ages. Disturbed by the unexplained noise, he decided to investigate and film whatever might be causing the disturbance. A translucent head-like shape can be seen appearing at the window. Now here's where it gets a bit weird. The window where this face is seen is positioned several floors up from the ground with no balcony or ledge outside, and directly below the window is a steep cliff drop, making it physically impossible for anyone to be standing there. The knocking sounds that had been disturbing the worker suddenly made sense, but raised even more questions. How could something be tapping on a window that no living person could possibly reach? When the workers later examined the exterior of the building, they confirmed there was no way for a person to access that window from outside. But what do you think this is? Is it something paranormal? Late one night in Pueblo, Colorado, an emergency call comes into the 911 dispatch center, but whoever made the call hangs up almost immediately. The 911 operators trace the call and find that it came from Imperial Memorial Gardens. Well, the weird thing is, Imperial Memorial Gardens is a funeral home surrounded by an 80-year-old cemetery, and it's 3:30 in the morning, so no one should be there. Now, as standard procedure, the 911 emergency operators call the funeral home back to make sure everything is okay, and someone answers the phone. This is what the 911 operators hear.
911, this is Erica. How can I help you? Hello? Hello? Hello?
There's a lot of static, and a quiet male voice seems to say something a few times, but then the call just goes silent again. As part of standard procedure, the emergency operators send the police to check out the old funeral home. But when the officers arrive, they find the funeral home locked up and all the lights are off. No one's there. Now, I tried to clean up the call audio as much as possible, but there's just not much there.
Hello? Hello?
So, just who made this call, and what do you think they might be saying? Over on TikTok, a user named Jabri Fondi, who works as an EMT, shared a chilling story from one of his shifts, saying he'd never experienced anything like it in all his time on the job. According to him, he and his team were driving back to base late at night when he glanced up at the rearview mirror of the ambulance and saw a face staring back at him. Despite being terrified, he knew he had to approach the ambulance to turn off the engine or risk being stranded. So, with his heart racing, he decided to go back and check.
I need to turn this engine off though, cause like, we're gonna be stranded out here.
Yeah, as soon as possible.
Oh, shit.
Hey, thank you.
I don't know if you see it, but can y'all see that back door? Like, it just, oh shit. Like, it just flew open, like, can y'all, oh. Nah, what the what was that? Can y'all see it? Nah, hell no. That, nah.
What happens next is genuinely unsettling. Whether it was a trick of the light, a reflection, or something far more inexplicable, it clearly shook him to his core. It's a good reminder that paranormal encounters can happen anywhere, on the road, at home, or even on the job. Next time you're working late, just imagine catching something like that staring at you through a mirror. Thanks for watching, and hopefully, I'll see you back here next time.